welcome Michele back, and look forward to hearing your presentation. I particularly look forward to hearing from you.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you everyone for coming today. This is such a good turnout, so that's so exciting. So I'll start with some background, first of all, with EBA's joining with Partners in the Horn of Africa. They first decided to do this for our 40th anniversary starting in 2006. So basically since 2006, every year, EBA's been contributing $50,000 to partners, and they build lots of springs and wells. In 2013, they'll be making 26 springs and wells in the dry season. So that is March until June. They will make that many springs and wells. In 2007, we raised about $30,000 for a Caso Manso school. In 2010, we raised $20,000 for the Yomana Dansa reforestation project. And this week, we are hoping to raise $17,000 to support the Debre Marcos Girls Group Home. And it's $17,000 per year to support that girls group home. So even if we get more money than that this week, we can support them for 3 years, or maybe we'll have to do this every year. I guess we'll see how it goes. All right, so I just wanted to tell you a little bit about Partners and who I worked with there. It was such a great team working with these people. They just hired Christine Parsons. You can see her there. It's not a very good picture, but she's the blonde. She will be the new executive director. She was such an interesting lady. She got her undergrad from McGill and then got her master's in Oxford. And she pretty much has traveled to the most dangerous countries in the world working for different NGOs. So she had some really great stories. Sitting, I guess, to your left, closest to us at the table there, that's Tesfaye. And he'd be the country representative. And then the guy on the far right, that's Yehalem, and he just resigned from being the deputy country representative. So we just learned that Tesfaye will replace him, and they still have to hire a new replacement for the country representative. And Teddy, the closest guy to your right there, he is the finance officer. I didn't really get to know him that well, but Tesfaye worked for 10 years as a teacher with ICS. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but they have lots of schools all over the world, and they work with international students. And so he loves working for Partners because he actually gets to help out with his country. And yeah, he's very passionate that way. So this is their office in Addis, by the way, in Addis Ababa, the capital of Ethiopia. You can see there's just like 3 desks. Internet was not that good, but you may do. Here's the view from their office. You can see there's nice palm trees there, a few like old cars. I think Toyota was the only car I ever recognized there. You can see they're building a skyscraper there. Check out that scaffolding niche. That is like some glorified sticks joined together. I would see guys working from the top there, like no hard hat, no safety boots, no harness. I got some close-ups for you for some presentations, maybe.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thanks.
No problem. All right, so here's a map of Ethiopia. You can see in the top left there, it's on the east side of Africa. It's surrounded by Somalia, Djibouti, Eritrea, Sudan, South Sudan, and Kenya. Right in the middle there is Addis Ababa, and so that's where I landed March 3rd. And yeah, there's a lot going on there, but basically Ethiopia is divided up into regions. The region that most of our water projects is in the northwest area called Amhara. And it is divided up into, let me get this right. It's divided up into zones. There's about 10 zones in a region. And then 10 waradas make up a zone. And a warada is made up of about 25 kabelas, and each kabela is made up of a few villages. And a village is made up of like 20 mud huts. So, if you got all that. And my field trip started in Addis Ababa, and we traveled northwest to Deborah Marcos, you can see it in the middle there, and went all the way up to the top there to Bahar Dar, and then traveled all the way back. All right, so our focus will be the Deborah Marcos Girls Group Home, so I'll go over that first. The Girls Group Home supports girls. Most of them have lost their parents, or their parents aren't able to afford school for them, let alone their necessities. Most of them are taken from rural villages. And these are all the girls, all 10 girls. Bottom left there is the house mother, dead. And what else can I say about them? Partners teamed up with a local organization there that kind of does all the admin work, looks after, you know, like the house rent, their, no, I don't know what else, but yeah, they look after more admin stuff for the house. And they've been running the house. Me and Christine were just talking about this morning. We think maybe for about 5 years, Partners was looking after this house. And they would just take donations from random people to support this house. So now they have us as a sole supporter. So that's exciting for them. Yeah, and basically EBA decided to support this girls group home this year so that you guys could have something you could identify with a little bit more besides just supporting springs and wells every year. So I'll tell a little bit about the girls. Aiden, she's on the top left there. She's 20 years old. She completed grade 10, and she currently is almost done vocational school for water engineering. Her role model is Gurma, which is the current president of Ethiopia. And she told me that she doesn't really remember her mother, and in grade 5, her father died, and her Kabele kind of looked after her and her brother. They like took care of her food and rent, and then HDAMA found her and put her in this home. And Tesfa actually asked her like where her brother is today. She said she didn't really know. She thought maybe he was in Addis Ababa, and like probably being just a street kid. And so Tesfa said he would look for him. So I'm not sure how far he's got with that. And Banchayu, she's third from the left there. She like came across to me as being like very brave. She'd ask me like lots of questions about myself that the girls were too scared to answer. And when I asked her like where she thought she would be if she wasn't in this group home, she probably answered the most honestly when she said she probably thought she would be like a sex trade worker. And so that was quite shocking to hear her say that. She's a really bright girl. She's 18 years old. She played handball for the local Deborah Marcos team. And she wants to be a doctor. On her role model also, I got a kick out of this, was Barack Obama. He's very popular in Ethiopia. You'd see like little kids running around with like Obama t-shirts. I wasn't expecting that. Go Jam, she's at the top there. Oh, I should mention, the girl at the top, second from the left, she's just a girl visiting from university, so I can't even remember her name. But she used to visit, or she used to live in the home. So girls who go to university are welcome back to visit the home whenever they want to, because this is kind of like, this is their home for them. Yeah, and Go Jam, she's third from the left at the top. She's 18 years old, and she is in grade 12 and wants to go on to study accounting in university. What else? And she thought if she wasn't at this home, she'd be working as a daily laborer, housemaid. Bottom left, second from the left is Worknesh. She was a really bright girl. She probably knew the most English out of any of them. She's 18 years old in grade 11. She wants to study medicine. And both of her parents are still alive, but they're so poor they couldn't afford school for her. So it's kind of like an overview of all the girls. And here's me handing out some EBA t-shirts. This is the first day I got there. I actually was able to visit them twice. So the second time we visited them, which was the previous slide, they're actually wearing all the t-shirts. And they're all very happy. Oh, I also want to show you how they greeted me. Can I call up Katie? Can you come up here? Yeah, come on. I just want to show you how they greeted me, because so your left hand you like did your wiping with after you went to the toilet basically, so always the right hand, and then it's a sign of respect to like go like this, And some other people, they go like this, like touch on the back. But the girls, it was like full on, like hug, and grab, like oh. And there'd be like 3 kisses also. I'd be like, mwah, mwah, mwah. And they just usually just like kept going. Yeah. So it was like 10 girls we did this with every time. It was hilarious, but it was great. Yeah.
Thanks, Katie. And the bottom right there, you can see some really little coffee pots or little coffee glasses. And they did an awesome coffee ceremony for us when we were there. So a coffee ceremony is they roast the beans right in front of you, they mash them all up, and they put them into that little black coffee pot and roast it over coals. And it's quite the process, takes a long time, which I think Ethiopians love because we just sit there and talk the whole time. And they also served us a big meal too. All right, and this is kind of what their yard looks like, this very typical Ethiopian house. So they have the big wall around the exterior, not necessarily for security reasons, it's just kind of more of a cultural thing. And they have a gate there on the left, you can see part of it, laundry hanging out. You can kind of see the wash basin in the background. And I think the wood there is for burning, I'm guessing, for fuel. There's the entryway to the house. And here's a bunch of EBA stickers they posted all over the house because I gave them some previously. I also gave them pamphlets and told them like all about us and what we do. So they really seem to enjoy that. All right, so this is 2 of the girls' rooms. Simple bunk beds, shelves. It's very basic, very similar to other Ethiopian houses. And also that curtain you can see there, Maureen had mentioned earlier, maybe we should think of asking them to maybe quilt stuff as an extra way of generating some money for themselves. And Banshai, you made that curtain, and it was really nice and really well done, so maybe we can look into that. This is Worknesh making injera. So right now she's pouring out the batter, kind of like a crepe on that flat stove there. And this is kind of in a mud hut that's close to where they live. And then they keep it in that basket. I think it stays good for about 2 days. And that's a good picture of Testify with some of the girls. And let's now go on to the water projects. So I did a close-up of the previous map so you can kind of see it better. Most of the work that Partners does is in the Gojam region. So, and most of our projects, our water projects, are in the West Gojam zone. So you can see there where the tiny arrows are pointing to Mecca and Semen Achafer. And that's where all of our springs and wells will be constructed this year. So the first spring that I visited, we didn't have a whole lot of time, we were pretty rushed. So Partners took me to 3 different springs, each at a different level of construction. So this one, they're just starting to build. They pretty much only have a fence around it. You can see it up at the top there. This is the actual spring where the water is coming out. There is kind of the backed up view of it. You can see where the spring kind of joins with the spring, or sorry, the creek joins with the spring. And this is in dry season. So in wet season, that will contaminate their spring. They're also having livestock walk in there, and that obviously would contaminate their spring too. So first step is to fence off the area, and you'll see the next step for the next spring. So I think this is our first view too of Testify. He's the guy in the blue there. He's actually wearing an EBA t-shirt, which I thought was awesome. He's a consultant for Partners, and he's basically the guy that looks after all of our springs and wells. They hire local artisans to kind of do the concrete work, but most of the work is just done by the local people. I should note too, EBA, or Partners, gives about 80% of the money towards these springs, and then the community contributes the rest of the 20 to 30% sometimes in labor and in materials like gravel and sand. And of course they do everything by hand, all the mixing of the concrete. This is Ambomes Spring. There you can see the weir. They're starting to build it up and bringing the piping out. You can see the guy mixing the concrete in his bare feet. And there's the guy breaking the stones by hand. And Michele Spring, so this is kind of a complete...
Start.
Oh, and I should say too, just so you kind of get an idea of how many people use these springs, the first spring supports about 1,200 people. The second spring was about 175 families. And, and then this spring is about 210. This one, Michele Spring. So you can see it completed here. This was a day where people only washed their clothes. So they had days where you only wash your clothes and days where you collect water. So that's what everyone's busy doing there. You can see it has 10 taps. The 11th tap goes out to a cattle trough. At this particular spring, they had a big problem with leeches. So now that problem is completely gone because of EVA and because of building this spring. You can kind of see in that one, back further to the right there, you can see how they completely protected the spring with concrete, made a reservoir underneath it, and then the water comes out of the taps. On the right and the left there, they have wash bays. And this is the cattle trough. We are actually looking at the cattle trough and draining it out and making sure not too much sludge had accumulated in the bottom. And this cow came rushing through and almost bowled a few people over. So this kid stood on the side of the trough with a big stick and was yelling at the cow to go away. These kids are just fearless. Oh, and now I wanted to show you this video. Yeah, so it's everyone in action there. What can I tell you about this? This well is approximately 9 meters. You can see in the next one more of the construction of it. There's a whole bunch of girls who use this well. And obviously the awesome things about wells is previously they had no water source here, and now they do. So that's a huge impact on the community. See, it's just a simple well that they pump up and down, water comes out. Silicil well. So this is how we got to this well. It was pretty precarious. Testify led us all across these logs this way. These were made on site here, these big concrete cylindrical things. They would put them down into the well by a pulley system, stack them up on top of each other, and then the bottom 3 they wouldn't cover with sand and concrete, obviously so the water could get in. Then the rest of them they sealed off, then they put in the pipe through the center, and they're able to pump it that way. Here's the big hole that they dug by hand. I think they got people out by a rope pulley system. I don't even know how, because it went down 9 meters. And the first hole that they dug didn't have enough water in it, so they had to dig another one. This is the Almana Densa Reforestation Project that they started in 2010. This is a view from the mountain. You can kind of see in the center there is the second-year trees. And more of it is to the left there, where the erosion used to be really bad, and because of the trees planted there, soil erosion is not an issue anymore. There's a close-up of it. You can see in the back there, they planted lots of eucalyptus and apple trees in this area, in this 2-year area. There's 2 other areas that we looked at that were 8 months, and in the 8-month place,
they planted, I believe it was 40,000 plants that are actually native to Ethiopia, which work much better than these eucalyptus trees. They're all over Ethiopia, and they grow quite fast. They take a lot of water. It's probably not the best answer to their erosion problem, but they also have some apple trees in there as well. And so after we were done our hike to the top of the reforestation area, these guys came out of nowhere with some injera and food for us. That just blew me away. They come out of nowhere with food all the time. You can kind of see there, he's holding a bottle of areki, the guy on the left. And I was told about this areki the whole time, and I was a bit nervous about it because it's really strong homemade alcohol. And they said most people from Canada just love it. And they were telling me the whole time that Terry just loved this stuff and is drinking it all the time. And so I was like, oh, the pressure's on. Like, I really have to like this stuff.
I have some at home even.
Yeah, actually, I was going to say too, I got Christine to bring me back some, but it's currently in Vancouver. So as soon as I get it, I'm going to bring it to beer time, and we are going to try some, because I actually really liked it. And I think it's the only thing that made my stomach feel better. So this is Testify. He is kind of the most enthusiastic community supporter for this project. Partners kind of has one for each project that they do. And he was definitely this one. You can see there's his family in the back. There's his mud hut. And there's him taking a picture of us with his cell phone, which I think is a little bit ironic, but lots of people had cell phones there. So this is the inside of his mud hut. I think this is the first mud hut I'd seen, so I thought it was so cool. The pictures aren't that good of quality because it was so dark in there. But this is what he put on his ox, basically to till the mountainside. And there's his radio. It's a pretty high-tech little mud hut. Here's the kitchen area. The pot on the right there is for the injera. And then those clay pots were for storing food and water. And then the other part of the house is where their cows stayed. So there's their fence, and there's a teff on the top there, which is what you make injera with. This is their second little house where they store their potatoes. Okay, so I just want to make sure I covered everything for the reforestation area. That indigenous tree that they were planting is called koso, by the way. And through the reforestation project, they're also hiring local guards. And so we interviewed one lady, and she didn't really know her age. She thought maybe 50. And I've heard this is mostly the case for lots of Ethiopians. They kind of associate themselves with like a major milestone in history. So like, I was born like a year after that major flood, and that's kind of how they figure out how old they are. But she was able to buy a tin roof for her house because of being a guard and getting a regular wage. She was able to buy a cow for milk, a butter for sale, and some extra cooking utensils. So we just kind of saw how it really affected her life in a positive way. So when I got back from my field trip, I visited Laura's place. And this is a girls' group home for when they go to university. So there's 10 girls at this place, and 8 of them are taking nursing, 2 of them are in pharmacy. There's the group mom. Her name is Mekdes. I wasn't able to get as much information from this place because Mekdes didn't speak that much English, but there's the girls there. And we were kind of looking at also supporting this maybe in the future, or maybe following girls from Debre Marcos who maybe come into this home to go to university. So it could be another opportunity. As well, I should mention, Christine gave me a full cost breakdown for supporting this girls' group home. And the $17,000 per year covers everything from clothing, even like entertainment money for the girls, books. Pretty much everything is covered in this cost. I think computers might be an extra thing that maybe we could donate some extra money for. Or Testify also noticed that there was no TV in their house. And he thought this could be really beneficial just for learning about the outside world, obviously, and watching news. Any questions?